How you guys doing? Magnum 710 here, and I just wanted to make a quick video on this revolver. This is my Ruger Security 6, and I'm sure you can find a bunch of reviews on it. You've probably seen my review on the Speed 6 already, so I won't get into that too much today. But I wanted to make a quick video about this because this revolver in particular is very interesting. So a little history. The Security 6 came out in 1972, I believe, but around 1974, Ruger decided to change the frame on these. You know, there were some complaints in some of the gun magazines back then, and because they were trying to get into the service revolver market, they took that into account. In 1974 is also when they introduced the stainless models. So, I did want to show you guys. This is my late model Police Service 6. It's basically a fixed sight Security 6. Notice the grips on the Security 6 are more rounded, but the grips on the Service 6 are more pointed. Well, that's because they changed the frame. Any of these guns made after 1974 are going to have the later, more common frame. So most of them you'll run across will have the frame that the Police 6 has. Now, so it's pretty much your traditional double action frame, right? Okay. While the early models, it was closer to a single action frame. And that's where the sentiment that the Security 6 was a single action with double action capability came from. The later models aren't like that so much, but the early models are. And what makes this one so interesting is, as I said, when they introduced the stainless models, is around the same time they changed the frame. So very few of these were made on the original frame in stainless. And this is one of them. I've only seen two other than my own come up for sale. All the other ones I've seen are owned by other collectors. So, just a little interesting piece of Ruger history I wanted to share with you guys. I'm actually getting ready to trade this gun, and that's why the video was so rushed, because I'm trading it for one that I really want, and I'll let that be a surprise. I'll have a review on that coming up soon. But alright, you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Alright, we're not done just yet, and I do have to apologize. The first half of this video was very rushed. I didn't have a lot of time. I was actually getting ready to take the Security 6 to an FFL and have it sent out, and that's when I realized, oh yeah, you were going to make a video about this. So I kind of had to breeze through it. I forgot some key details, and I didn't want to just leave you guys with only half the story. So we're going to pick up here. So the original Security 6, the early models, are what's known as the 150 series, or the low back frame. And the reason is, most of them had a serial number that started with 150. Not all of them, but most of them. And that was one of the things that was really interesting about mine, was it had a 151 serial number. Say you go to the Hogue website and try to order grips for the Security 6. It'll say for serial number 151 and higher. When I first got mine, I took it to the range, and I hated the factory grips. Those little wood stocks were just brutal with 357. So I went home and ordered some rubber grips, and it said for serial number 151 and up. So I checked mine. Okay, it's a 151. I'm good to go. Well, imagine my surprise when they didn't fit. So I got on some of the forums, posted pictures, asked for some advice. And some of the collectors that I'm acquainted with now pointed out the differences and identified it as being a 150 series. So you can't just go by the serial number alone. I found out too that there were examples of the later, more common frame that had 150 serial numbers. So you just got to look for the little things. But for the most part, that role is true. And that's another thing I wanted to get into, was grips. Grips are very hard to find for the early models. If you're patient, you can find them on eBay and Gunbroker. No rubber grips exist at all. If you find grips, they're going to be wood target grips. So you'll find pairs come up every once in a while, but there is one company that still makes grips for the 150 guns, and that's Texas Grips. And honestly, they were the best I tried for the 150 frame. They were my favorite, and any target grips you find for it are going to be a definite improvement in general, but for handling full power 357s, the Texas grips were the best. You know, they cost about 120, 140, depending on what options you go with, but they were absolutely the best grips I tried for the 150 guns. Okay, so back to my model in particular. As I was saying in the first half, there weren't too many made in stainless on the original 150 frame. Most of the early low back guns are going to be blued. I've only seen 2 stainless ones other than my own come up for sale. I'm not going to say they're not out there, but you're not going to see them too often. So they're a pretty rare bird. In fact, you know, mine was a 4-inch, but if we're talking stainless 150 frame guns, there are only 3 with 6-inch barrels that are known to exist, and they're all owned by collectors. If you find a 6-inch stainless Security 6 on the original 150 frame, you've, I don't want to say hit the lottery, but pretty close. There's only 3 that are known to be out in the wild. So that tells you how rare they are. So I was a little sad to see it go, but it was worth it because I'm a rubber grip guy. I don't like wood grips. I mean, I do. They are an improvement, but I just prefer rubber grips in general. You know, a lot of guys think they look bad. Wood looks better. Personally, I think rubber grips look great. They look nice and sleek, and they handle so much better. So that was one of the reasons I was willing to let it go, and it allowed me to trade into a model that I really wanted, which I'm going to keep that a surprise for now, and I'll make a video on that a little bit later. But that one will be coming too. So that's it. That's everything you guys need to know about the early years of the Security 6. Like I said, most of them will be blued. So you don't have to worry too much about the stainless guns, but you still want to keep an eye out. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.